Okay, collective, welcome to the channel. This is going to be like a little secret I feel that I'm unveiling here with the cards. Okay, so I was hearing like a lot of privacy energy. I was getting like literally before I was getting into the cards today, like I had to go and cleanse my room of like all spirit monitoring, all devices, all sorts of things, right? So I knew that something was going to be coming in, but I had all my children playing, right? So I wanted to get into the cards, right? Before I just started to record, right? But maybe it's because they allow me to set it up this way. So I've already got the cards here that I pulled, right? But I wanted to just show you like what is going on. So that's why we have this spread here already. Okay, so I'm gonna slide these cards up. I'm gonna go ahead and explain like what I was getting. But yeah, I was going through with like my cleansing, the positive vibes, right? Like removing all unwanted energies, protecting you and your home, keeping enemies away, right? And attracting, maybe some of you are being called to cleanse your space or something, like your devices. What's interesting too is I was, even before I even realized that I was starting to cleanse my space, as I was talking to my son about TVs, right? And how very much, like, you know, think about that. A TV is in like what, everybody's home, everybody's business, every single thing, right? How they can very much monitor you, right? Just like the phone. So maybe there's something with like TVs or something significant that I'm feeling called to talk about that now, right? Because I wasn't even aware that I was starting to prepare for my download today. But there's something about like this privacy energy, right? And you know, to always like anoint and protect like your mirrors, right? Your windows, your reflective surfaces, right? And of course your electronic devices. So I don't know, I felt to share that I was going around right before getting into this download. So anyways, if you look, like something big is definitely going on. Look at this, how I had pulled 4 majors all in a row. Now, when I pulled these, I had already pulled my normal spread here, and these cards were on the bottom, right? In the bottom of the deck, whenever I pull that, it's what's coming. So these were all in an order. When I pulled them, it was the Tower, the Devil, the World, and Justice. Right, stop. See, and there's already stuff that's going on to try to disrupt this, right? So see, there could be things that are getting in your way, right? They're stirring the energies and stuff. Like I may just have to have them power all their systems and electronics down if they can't stop, because things are definitely coming through, right? Even anointing them, maybe for some of you, like you needed to know that, or like getting offline and things like that, even to record or receive downloads. So like that's why like I don't do lives and stuff like that because of the energy that comes through. That's why I say it's better to just pre-record and then, you know, launch your stuff if you're one that creates content where you launch it, you know, where it can be premiered, right? Where you can still have people get in the chat and things like that. And even if you want to join in with the chat and while the reading's going, it's going to be a little bit more protection for you as far as when you're just opening up as a channel, as a guide in a live feed, because you're pulling in the energies that are being projected on that channel, on that platform, while you're going to a very sensitive state, right? You either understand this or you don't. I mean, if you feel that your guides are ready to handle all that spiritual warfare while you're tapping into energies, then fine, go with it, right? But I just put my recommendations out there, right? Okay, so that's why I don't do lives, right? And a lot of times, like, I even feel the energy of a room, so a lot of times, like, I have to come back later and watch certain lives that I can't be a part of them because I'm very susceptible to the energy, right? Okay, so I know if I feel the hate just coming through, like I couldn't even imagine what it must be to be the host of that, right? Okay, so back to the cards here. So with Justice, the World, the Devil, and the Tower, like I said, there's a tower for the devil. The universe, like I was getting in the reading yesterday, is pretty much called judgment. It's taken over, right? Justice is coming through. Things are going to be ordered. They're going to be set right. You know, and a lot of times things seem very chaotic before they are set right, in fact, right? So anyway, like this is what's coming, but that was very shocking to me to see all of those majors coming out like that. I was like, stop it, right? But there's no stopping it. maybe for some of you, just eliminating certain blockages or whatever, like, allows it to come in. So before that, after I pulled my normal spread, there was some side messages that came out. Strength was coming out, right? And what I was getting is, like, right away when I seen the strength card is I was feeling temperance energy. I pulled this one and then temperance came behind it. But I was like, yes, that's like the secret. It's balancing it. It's like once you balance your energy and you stop having the devil have control over you, game's over. That's literally what it's about, because the devil tries to get you to basically work against yourself. That's why it comes at you mentally. It comes at you with your weaknesses within your mind, your woundings that you have. Jealousy. I mean, think about it. Jealousy, envy, and what are demons or demons? They're dark emotions, right? That manifest into form. So the devil has control over the mind, right? The mental space, right? And it uses physicality and things like that. But really think about it. Even everything that is physical, until you give it a feeling or you give it control. Basically, you give control. It's like if somebody like wants to give you something, but if it means nothing to you, then there's no value to it, right? It's kind of like if you release all control over how you feel about material things, those material things no longer have control over you, do they? No. So that's what I mean, like this, when you fully just like let go of letting material things control you. And that's what I mean. Like, think about it. Like, these devices are literally gaining control over us, right? AI is doing that, tapping in. That's what I mean. For some of you, maybe cleansing these devices, they stop letting you can get rid of like the energy. And what I was getting to is like poltergeist energy. Like, I was literally, when I was washing things away and I was saying like, oh, I like no more poltergeist getting into my stuff. And then it was bringing back memories too, how I used to think that some of the items that we were using that were other people's that were gifted to us, that their energy was in fact in those devices. And, one of these devices got put away for quite some time, and my son pulled it out, and I was talking to him right before this reading, like, what if somebody's tapping into this energy, right? Because I was starting to get this energy coming back in my dreams now these devices are being up and running again, right? So there's something about that too, cleansing the electronics of these energies, because it's just like the amount of energy. Think about all the emotions and the energies that get put into like these Xboxes and these PS4s and these game systems, right? Like, my children have invested a lot of their time and energy and life force. It's almost like they're feeding these boxes and these devices. It's almost like these devices are like energy harvesting in a way, right? And what I was talking about for this reading is I was telling my son, I was like, look at how they can literally tap into every single electronic device that they want, anything at a whim, right? Anything that has a Wi-Fi that has a signal can be tapped into, right? So you don't think that they could do some sort of programming or something, right, to be able to harvest certain energies to pull things through? I'm just planting seeds out there, right? But like I said, take it however you feel it fitting. If you don't feel that it's for you or giving you anything, then just let it fly. All right, so anyway, let's get back into this. So what I'm getting at is when you get to this energy where you are in control of your vessel, your emotions. These demons can't have control over you. And it's kind of like if you banish them out, if you say things, if you start thinking grateful thoughts, if you start thinking loving thoughts, these demons gotta go, right? That's why it's like you have control over your emotional state. You have control whether you want to be happy, mad, sad, whatever. That's gaining control of your vessel. So that's what I mean. Maybe you need to be careful, because these electronic devices can impact your emotional state and your well-being. And that's why they kind of pull you into a trance state, right? And that's why they integrate with you. And be careful, especially like you wearing the watches and you doing these things, right? Or Bluetooth, syncing them in. You need to be careful about the electronic waves that are going around your vessel, the things that you're integrating yourself with, right? Okay. So once you have control over your state, you take back control. So there's this energy of, like I told you, I was getting this strength about temperancing. And it was interesting to have temperance come out as well, right? So, you are balancing your energy. This is so powerful. Somebody is definitely in their power. They are balanced. And when that happens, game is over. Turn it down, Gabriel. So, there was this Eight of Coral energy that stood out to me right after I was getting these. Because Seven of Spears was coming out right after I was seeing... Or wait, no, it was the Knight of Coral came out with the Seven of Spears. There's this energy where you've been having people coming at you, okay? using these things, right? As the devil and entities and these dark emotions, literally what comes to attack you are those closest to you. Because those closest to you were actually sent here for your life, for your soul's growth, for your evolution. Like, it was part of your plan. It was part of you to, like, your family actually teaches you certain lessons that you need for your soul expansion and growth, whether you realize it or not. And sometimes it's through tough love and things like that, because your family will be the ones that will battle you but will not leave you behind. Do you know what I mean? Your family will always be drawn back to you to not give up on you, to teach you these lessons, to push you for your soul's growth and evolution, right? They don't just end. Normally you don't just end things with family. Like, it's hard to just, because it's set up that way by design, right? And literally, like, you may feel as though some of you, like, your family, like, yeah, they're your enemies. Well, you know what? They might have been enemies or adversaries in a past life, but you know what? You were put together in this lifetime to clear your damn karma, were you not? To learn to let that stuff go. But it's also to teach each other, because you know what? Your enemies, actually, your adversaries, teach you the biggest lessons, right? Because we shouldn't be fighting people, right? As we are all one, and it's all about the integration and coming back together anyways, right? So anyways, there's this energy with the Seven of Swords and the Knight of Swords. Why am I putting these two together like this? I just realized that I mixed it up. Everything happens for a reason, okay? Because the Knight of Coral is the Knight of Wands. Then Seven of Spears is the Seven of Swords in this deck. Okay, so this Knight of Wands energy is coming up with the Seven of Spears. So then we know the Seven of Swords energy is like the liar, the deceiver, but it's also the one where it teaches like strategy, training, right? And sometimes it appears in another way. Like, I've been getting this energy as it's almost like an enemy, like a hidden enemy was like training you or preparing you. And you could be realizing that, or it's like you're realizing how to use your enemies, how to use what they're doing, or realizing that what they were doing was actually preparing you, was training you. Because you know, your enemies, if you pay attention, they will show you your weak spots. They will show you the things that are being used against you, the things that are hurting you, the things that are doing. So when you learn to start to analyze that, see how she's holding these spears, like she's sharpening that, or I don't know why I just said it like that. She's not sharpening them. But for some of you, I feel, for me to say that, you're sharpening your skills. Like, somebody's like, it kind of seems like he's poking the bear here. Like, it seems like an instigator. Like, somebody is really trying to come at you. And that's what it's about. You know what I mean? Like, that dragon is appearing to be so scary, right? And the red eyes, like coming at her, right? But she's still sitting there being very temperate and very balanced. Like, if something you'll learn is that when you don't let somebody rattle you, you don't let somebody get you angry, get you to their level, get you fighting with them, doesn't it piss them off even more? And what do they often do? They often walk away because they can't sustain that energy. They don't know. Like, the devil's actually very, very weak and doesn't know how to handle defeat, doesn't know how to handle when it can't have control over something, right? So a lot of times it'll go get others, or it'll go rally others, right? And try to forge something, or try to get at you in other ways, trying to gossip, trying to, you know what I mean? Do different things. I'm not even going to give it power, right? But see, it's like you're gathering these things. Like, I feel like she's even turned her back. Like when you ignore and you don't engage and you don't give those energies, right? You really take back control. Somebody very much is taking control of their vessel. They're very much seeing a lot of the spiritual warfare, a lot of the things, right? When you start to identify the things that are trying to come at you, that are trying to get you in that state, and you're not letting it, is when you really take back control of your vessel, right? Maybe for some of you, for me to talk about these electronic devices, these surroundings and these environments, like maybe that's a big thing. That's why your life can change dramatically so much when you move, when you make physical changes, when you stop letting things have that control over you, when you start to isolate from electronics, you start to take the time, right? Like, you know how much power it feels to like shut a phone off, or be like, you know what, I am not going to let this phone control me, have control over my emotional state. Like, I'm going to take a break from this. I'm going to put it, you know what I mean? Like, you feel so free. Have you ever just left your phone at home and go out into nature and go for a walk and things like that? And I know that can seem daunting, and especially like if you're a parent and you have children and things like that, because you always want to be available for them and things like that. But, it feels very, maybe you can set something up where, you have another emergent, like that's something that I do, like with my lover, is like, there's times that I'm like, nope, I am not going to be on my phone. If you have any emergencies or whatever, like, you need to go to him. So like my children know that like my lover like is you know, the emergency contact and things like that when I'm not available to be on my phone, right? When I need to have breaks when I'm at work and things like that. So, you know, like there are things that you can do, and I don't care what, you know what I mean? We need to take more control over our lives and things like that and stop. Well, the rules say, like, I can't even tell you how many times like we've had law enforcement stuff like call him up or whatever about my son and be like, no, well, you're not the legal. Well, yeah, he is, right? Because he's the children's stepfather. He has been raising the children with me for the last 4 years. My children and I are living with him. He is very much a part of life. I don't care what paperwork, what law say. And you know what? Everybody shuts up. Because you know what I mean? They know that that's right. So that's what I mean. There's too much of this control, right? And they use a lot of the control through the system, the matrix that is failing, right? And we've been seeing firsthand in my family how many of the flaws, how many of the different things that they say. Like my son's literally going through the court system, like finding all of the flaws within it. Like we're actually experiencing these things, and I've been starting to realize that that is part of his life path, our life path, to see all of these things, to be able to help others through this stuff, right? Like I know a big trend that I've been seeing go through, like is like with the DCF workers and stuff. Like you do not have to let DCF workers and police officers and things like that in your home. There is nothing that, and we feel as though, you know, they come in and they establish so much fear and so much trying to destroy things just by that power and that control. And really, you do not have to cooperate or even let them in. It is a choice. You can choose to. Now, it is better to cooperate and, you know what I mean, explain. You know what I mean? You have that time to be able to explain your story and stuff, but you don't have to open them up. Like I've been through so many cases and so many things, so many degrading situations where literally like they would come in and have to look inside my pantries and in my fridge and make sure I have running water and things like that. Like if I would have known this years ago, that I never had to let those people come into my home and degrade me and take away my power as a mother and really show me and talk down to me about how I choose to punish my children and things like that. Like there is just so much that is like, but it was all part of my experience, right? And I used to let that stuff like get me so upset and affect me, and now I realize that it was all part of my journey. Like I wanted to experience those things because I wanted to be able to help others, right? Take back control, right? And yeah, so you always get a lot of stuff out here on my channel where I talk about, you know, me mothering right, my children right, and especially my star children that are often very rebellious, right, to the ways of this world because they're spend so much manipulation and control and taking our power away, right? But anyways, let's get back into the cards. So there's this strong energy here. Judgment was also in the center of this reading that came out with all 5 of those majors. So that's what I mean. And look at how powerful this judgment is. You see all the mermaids in alignment up here. Well, I'm trying to see at the camera. Like judgment is definitely being called. And you know what? We don't even give this card as much power as we do. Literally, judgment is right before the world. Okay, which is the final major arcana. Like a major cycle is closing out. This world, this matrix is collapsing. It is, they took the word I was going to use, right? They didn't want me to use it that way because it's created. There's been a lot of hype with this one I wanted to use. So, but it's collapsing. It very much is. The light is outshining the dark, and you know how that's happening with unity and with us coming together and helping each other, right? And the vibration of love. That's why I said when you realize to hold your power, your anger, you learn to transmute that into love. You learn to start to take things as lessons. You start to realize that people are, a lot of times it's just dark emotions that get people saying things that they don't really mean, or you know what I mean? Have you ever had somebody like go off at you but then all of a sudden come back and apologize to you because they didn't even really mean to come off at you that way? It was just their emotions were so heavy at that time that they got very expressive with them, because that is what is happening, and that is what they're doing, like bombarding us with all of these electronics and like all of these choices and all of these different things, right? And it's all to keep our minds so focused and so controlled to what they want, pushing their things and pushing all of their, you know, stuff, making you feel like you need to constantly be upgrading and that you constantly need all of these different things and to clutter your space. And just there's so much. I don't know if it was all part of it or if it just kind of like got out of control, because I kind of feel like AI has been in control for a long time. Like way longer than, I know they're like pushing and showing you, but it's like it has already happened. If you have not realized that, like the zombie apocalypse has already happened. They have already turned us into zombies with the injections, with those electronics devices. The injections that they were giving were to basically integrate with the electronics. Do we not realize that by now? Oh my God, I hope this goes up. All right, so do not realize that's why all the towers, everything, that's why everything was going on. It was all part of the final phase of AI taking over control, right? And the rise of integrating us with these devices for the control. Well, that's falling apart. The electronical, I don't want to even say electronical, so I'm trying to take over. The electronic frequency of Earth is vibrating at such a high frequency that is knocking all of that stuff away. Like, and it's not even working right. It's not even taking control. It's not aligning like they wanted to. And that's why they're pushing so much other stuff to try to offset it. But we've reached the point of no return. Okay. No, we've been taking back over power and control, and they're doing whatever they can to not show it. But if you start to look around in this world, you start to see it. I was talking about my readings last night, that even the ones that the vessels that I have seen that are still struggling with drug addiction, I'm still seeing angels and love and light channel through them. Some of the most beautiful people with the frequency of love that I'm seeing are still struggling with drug addiction, with problems like that. And in the past, those people, those vessels were so hijacked by dark energy, controlling their addictions, that they weren't able to see the light. I hope I'm explaining this very well. But now I'm starting to see the love and light radiate through these souls that are still struggling with the drug addiction, because they are taking over control of their emotional state, even though they are still being controlled by the physical, because it takes a time to be able to get off of these drugs, and to, you know, especially when there's so much of it and there's so much around, and they make it so easy that these freaking, like, oh my gosh, like you can go to these clinics and get legally be given these medications, you know, and stuff. And that's what I mean, like with this collapse and everything, like just like, because people a lot of times they feel as though they need these things. Like I can't tell you how many individuals and souls that I know that go and donate plasma and blood and things like that to receive money just to be able to buy food and sustain themselves, right? And that's what I mean. That's why I was saying that you should never look down on people, and you don't need to realize sometimes too that every single drug and alcohol, like why it's here is literally to escape reality, and it's to put a pause. And sometimes people need that. I'm not condoning drug use at all, I need to put that out there, but people, drug or alcohol use, but people sometimes need that to pause reality, to be able to get their bearings, to be able to sustain. You know, that's why sometimes people, if they're not ready and you fully pull them off of drugs, they don't make it, right? And that's why I do feel they did have to start to establish these clinics, because even my lover, like he had to go through, like he almost didn't make it. There's been a couple times where, you know, he didn't make it. He had given up, right? But Divine was like, no, you're not. And he had to go through the clinic and detox and heal himself, right? And he aligned with me to help him get away from that. And it was horrific just getting him off of that and away from the clinics, right? So that's what I mean. Like I have firsthand seen how difficult and challenging, and then what it takes with the mind, right? Like we were talking about this just the other night. Like it's been 4 years, and now, you know, and it's like he'll never, you know, go back and things like that. And he knows, you know, just like, you know what I mean? And what happens when you have an injury or you're having any sort of thing, you know what I mean? Like a lot of times the triggers in the past, you know what I mean? Like he's had to fight off a lot of demons and a lot of things trying to trigger him or get him back into those ways. And people are so quick to want to share and help others, you know what I mean? And then when you see other people that are engaging in these things, them wanting to help and stuff, like, you know, but so I don't know, I'm putting all of this out here for a reason. Maybe for some of you, like if you're struggling with addiction and things like that, you know, like you need to give yourself credit. Like every action that you take to slowly wean yourself off and stop is for you. Like, you elevate dramatically whenever you stop using any of those things. And those vapes are another thing. So is cigarettes. Like, all of those things have control over you. Like, you feel so empowering to free yourself from any sort of thing that is controlling you. Like, I used to be a smoker, and I used to know what that was like. It's like it had control over my emotional state, like in that antsiness. Like, I remember feeling like how I would feel if I was like in a movie or at the mall or something with my kids, like that feeling that would make me want to leave, to be able to get outside, to be able to have that cigarette. Like, and I've been smoke free now for like 7 years, right? And I got to a point where I got pulled and back into it for like a month or two, and I fought that back off. But it was only like at one time, right? And it was a very stressful time. It was when I was leaving a relationship and going through a major reset in my life, and it was a time, but you know what? I had my lover align with me too. That got me, you know what I mean, the support where he agreed to not smoke and I didn't, and we both gave it up together. So maybe you'll be aligning with somebody or some others, right, to have like a pack and help each other, right? Because sometimes, you know, it takes that. Like, look at the two of them both holding that wand, right? And it's like, no, put it down, put it down. It was the same thing. Like, I even said, if you ever feel like, you know, you are reaching that point, or you have somebody tempting you, a friend or something, making you want to do something, like, he always agreed he'd call me first, right? So there, you know what I mean? And you often get tested. So maybe you're identifying these tests, right? Or maybe, you know, the 5 of coral is the 5 of wands, and that's that battling, that challenging. Like, you're realizing those things that are trying to test you. And you know how empowering it feels to have somebody like come at you offering you drugs or a cigarette from you or something like that, and to turn it down, right? Like, you just feel so empowering to turn down anything. And know that whenever you're ready to level up is when you stop having to use anything to keep you. Because if you have to pause in this game by using any of these, alcohol, drugs, anything, it keeps you at the life lesson, in the loop, in the cycle that you're currently in. You don't get to advance forward while engaging in those things. That's why, if you truly want to advance, you have to be able to stop using those things that have control over you. 27:07 on the clock as I say that. I only have 28 minutes and 10 seconds available for this reading, so it's going to be closing out in the next minute. So I'm going to leave this here, right? So I feel that I released a lot of secrets within this reading because they had me cleanse all my devices. 27:27 is very significant. Maybe for some of you, you're going to feel so much better when you reset your environment, your space, right? Take whatever you feel is for you. All right, well, I love you guys. Definitely subscribe to the channel if you have not, but you do have to come in and check for when I upload videos, because I know they don't like to promote a lot of the content, the algorithms. Gee, I wonder why. So if you found this, know that you were very special. Your spirit team aligned you with this to receive this. So you definitely were meant to see this at this time, even if it was just for the messages and not for the tarot, or maybe this is what's going on in your life, or you're about to